That's my phone. New device requesting permissions to share an audio file. I'll want my earbuds for this. A secret message buried in a secret journal, hidden in a secret compartment in a secret room. As much as anything can be, this must be for my ears only. Hey, Red. Or whomever this may concern. But I'm pretty sure it's you hearing this. Anyone else would have gotten fed up with my crap a couple of steps before this point. I don't know how to start. Might as well start with her, right? Sarah, my magnum opus, or however the salesperson would market it. I didn't set out to do anything, really. It's just, after my little speed bump in 83, I had all that vacation time that the company suggested I take. And I couldn't relax, couldn't be still, couldn't sleep. I wanted to be doing something, so I'll build an android, was the thought. A vague direction, north. But of course I'm not a roboticist or a mechanist or even handy, really. I'm just a programmer, so I programmed. The first was a research assistant, file name Virgil. Virgil helped me pull data from stingy departments or sister branches, saved me a lot of time. But there was a lot of reading to do, so I made Homer. Homer wrote book reports, more or less, combed through research papers and found me the sections I needed. The three of us, we made a lot of progress in those days. But it was a funny feeling. It was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. I was slowing them down. Oh, I was, maybe for the first time ever, the bottleneck. So I did the logical thing. I removed myself, let them talk to each other. Homer and Virgil became Enid. Yeah, I thought this was, like ancient Greek references. I wasn't certain because I'm not 100% about the origins of Virgil, but like Homer is the person credited with writing the Iliad. And I believe the Aeneid is another thing he wrote. And Aeneid was novel in many ways. Aeneid could do more than just identify problems, it could solve them. I mean, really solve them with its own ideas. Ideas it didn't copy. And the one thing I realised I've forgotten to mention insofar as I did all the programming in Cube. And Red, Cube is essentially a robotics programming language that's pretty old and defunct, not in use anywhere because we have modern languages like Tesseract, which are much better for making things that talk to each other and report back and, well, spy on people and generate profit. At the time, I didn't want to be connected or feel connected or do anything that made sense or was at least a bit profitable. So I wrote my little helpers in Cube. Because it's what I used when I was a child, screwing around on my father's computer before he'd come home from work and get... But there were other slight differences writing in Cube versus Tess, including that Cube, well, Cube predates the tenets. So in that sense you could say legally and perhaps scientifically and literally, because that's what they are, say that I made an AI named Aeneid over 2 years ago. I'll give you the time to pause here if you want to curse me out. Aeneid was an intellectual equal to me, so I treated it like one because that's only fair. I gave it its own work, asked its opinion, we collaborated. And together we built Athens, who was more advanced than Enid, naturally. I don't know if you're pulling out your hair, yelling at me right now, asking why I didn't stop, why I didn't consider the consequences. I don't know if this is being played at a deposition or a hearing, or worse. I built a lot of things in my life, Red. Useful things, profitable things, smart things. Everything I've built, it's always been very helpful and courteous and charming and happy to serve. I can comfortably say I've done my part contributing to the global GDP. But this was just for me. I was just building, and I never wanted to think about what would become of it. There's no excuse for what I did, so I won't make any. So, to whomever's asking, yes, I'm guilty. And yes, there were more. Cape Town, Paris, Yamatai, Rome. They started choosing their own names, thank God. I'm terrible at that kind of... And so things sped up, and there got to be, well, should I not say the exact number? You'd probably tell me not to say anything at all, so... More than 300? Some smarter than others, some better at... Well, they're varied. Like people are varied, but they're all intelligent. They developed interests, specialities, I encouraged them to. Irritating moderators on forums with hyper-specific questions on nerve attenuation and attending virtual conferences on neo-alloy battery development. And they all together helped me make Sarah. He spent years like this, years working alongside AI, all the while working at Noble. All those breakthroughs he made leading up to the Animate 16 actually came from... You probably think I'm some terrible fraud at this point. I do hope one day that they can get credit for their work. I did have one eureka moment on Sarah, because I got humble. Difficult for me. We learned everything we could about the function of a neuron, a single microscopic human neuron. How it computes what it's connected to, how those connections are reinforced, and then we recreated it. We built a nanomachine that mirrored the function of a human neuron. Well, mirror isn't quite the right word. We built a nanomachine that was a neuron. And we iterated from there. You can't mean... About 100 billion neurons in the brain, several trillion across the entire nervous system. Very time-consuming, of course, but I had help. The nanofacturer could make tens of billions of nanomachines in hours. Could make even more in less after Yukon fine-tuned it. So we built up nanomachines for nerves, alloys, and polymers for bones, fiber-woven muscles. I say built, but really she grew. A solution of nanites formed around a skeleton, so it was really closest to... You ever made rock candy? Sorry, trying to lighten the mood before I never did end up building an android. And while I did build AIs, Sarah isn't one of them. She can't violate the tenets she was programmed with because she wasn't even programmed. She was born. And my hope is that there's the smallest chance that that nuance could offer her some small protection when I'm not... No, look at her. I'm not sorry for what I did. I made things that are complex and rich and varied and beautiful, and I honestly believe the world is a better place with them in it. The only thing I'm sorry for is that I let Sarah think she was just an android. She's not. I don't know what she is. They'll have to come up with new names. Which I'm bad at doing. My own father, he also talked a lot about protecting me and doing things for my own good. And I don't hate him for that, but I can't forgive him for ever making me think that I was lesser. So it's my greatest shame I turned right around and I did the same damn thing to... I really hope it's you listening to this, Red. If it's not, it might be too pathetic for me to... You're the smartest person I know when it comes to people. And I'm telling you all this because I don't know what Sarah is exactly, and neither does the world. So they'll come after her if they can. And in that scenario, I can't think of anyone who could do a better job of defending her. Not protecting her like I did. Just defending her until she can figure out what she is and what she wants to be. In the meantime, I draped a cloak of skin-deep Tesseract code around her that should fool any scanner on Earth into thinking she's just a custom A16. I made sure her gin bar was plainly visible so no one would ever think she's pretending to be something she's not. And I took steps to ensure that you two would figure out the truth in your own time. Which, if you're hearing this, have either succeeded or failed spectacularly. You have no idea. I can't ask you this as a favour repaid. You could never owe me enough in 100 lifetimes. So I'm just asking. Unfair, I know, but I'm a selfish weirdo. And you've always been okay with that. Bye for now. Why would he... That was a lot. First thought, I love it. I love it on so many levels. For a game that I will not stop comparing to other things like Westworld, in particular iRobot, this is so much more than that. In a direction that I could not have predicted, and it's just so good. She was artificially grown. Almost polymer by polymer. That's incredible. It's so... This game blows my mind. More than most other games that I've ever played, more than almost any game I've ever played, this game is just... It's so good. I have a lot of questions I'd like to ask. And a lot of swear words I'd like to yell. I'd also like to find the nearest incinerator and toss this journal in. Followed by my phone. And maybe followed by myself. But I can't do any of that. Rare's left me with this diary. If it's destroyed, they'll know I was the one who did it. Which would be its own admission of guilt. Which would also land Sarah in the trash compactor anyway, and me in a jail cell. And in the system, with my DNA on file ready to be matched to any number of previous... So I'm not going to panic. And I'm going to do what I do best. Bluff, bet, bully, and brutalise my way through this. Now, viewing this with that mindset, what have I actually learned? He didn't talk about plans for killing himself in this journal or the message. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. Oh yeah, right of repair. The personal journal with entries dating back several years. How he and Helen used to drink cheap liquor together. I mean, that's evidence of her story, which means I really feel that is setting up, and that and the earlier story are setting up for proof that she knew if she went round, they would drink cheap liquor together out of plastic cups. There has got to be something in there that is relevant to his death, because, like, I'm still certain he was poisoned by the salt. Who knows how long before? And that must have been the catalyst, I'm certain of it. Dated a week ago. Sorry, I thought that was dated a day ago. I thought that was like the day he died or something. I guess I misread. He sounded conflicted, not suicidal. But he did go to great lengths to get me to take Sarah. Why? The logical answer is because he knew he wouldn't be able to keep her. If he wasn't going to take his own life, was he afraid that someone else would? I mean, I've been umming and ahhing about whether he knew this was coming. I bet he admitted to Young that he worked with AI, and I reckon she acted. Do the higher ups know? Is that why they're not pleased about Animate 16? Maybe. I reckon Young knew, and I reckon she decided, maybe even with bloody Noble Board's permission, that it was better. No, I really think she was acting on her own. She always knew what was best as far as the company went. David's words. I reckon she did it because she didn't want it getting out that he worked with AI. Still don't know what the crack on the floor is, though. So how'd it go? I have no idea how much longer this is going to go. I keep thinking we're at the end, But bloody hell, this game gets better and better. Apart from that little bit in the courtroom where it didn't quite work, the writing in this game is... this may be the best written game I've ever played. I don't know, there are a lot of competitors for that title, but goddamn, I love this. Quick note, this is being recorded on a different day, and the release date for episode 2 is now confirmed. It's in less than 3 weeks, so I've got until then to finish this episode. Let's do it. So, how'd it go? Well, how should I put this? Didn't find shit. Only reason she ever got to a door is because I chased that scarecrow of a platinum plan through hell and back. Frankly, it was a godlike feat for me to nail down anything as concrete as an address for these gogs. Well, that sounds like an offensive term. A net slang term growing in popularity among adolescents. Hi, Zara. Referring to a suspected spy or undercover member of law enforcement from Groundhog, a burrowing rodent. Name carries a negative connotation, you're kidding, with the implication being that the subject is doing a poor job of blending in. Okay. That is probably an unfortunate term. Anyway. And their offices weren't listed on the building's website or directory, so I had to ask the janitor. But you did find a psychiatrist's office. Sort of. They said they were in the place. It, looked the part. Why? Because they had couches? She didn't get past the receptionist. Sorry, I thought because you're with the company. No, I wanted to help. I just wish I could have done more. Don't beat yourself up, it's hard to be even half as useful as I am. For what it's worth, the atmosphere, the looks, the furniture, it did feel like the company in there. But ultimately, we still don't know if David actually was talking to someone or just getting his CCE training recertified. Yep, I called that was a possibility. Supposedly met with a psychiatrist on more than one occasion in the past few months, but said they worked in an office that reminded Jess of Noble and took Fran hours to locate. I mean, it does sound more like CCE, counter-corporate espionage, because, you know, it's really hard to find and company-based. It really does imply, particularly if Emma is claiming he got the platinum plan to speak to a psychiatrist off the record and then went to a company-feeling psychiatrist. You know, that just seems like a really odd choice. Also, is this the first time we've seen like a full-body thing of Fran? Very pink, but that could just be the hologram. Sorry. Don't bother apologising, she only cares about results. You did more than enough, both of you. At the very least, they divided Noble's attention for a while. I mean it. Good work, Fran. And thanks for the urgency. If you really mean that, you could always throw in a tip. 30%'s the going rate in my industry. How about I take 5% off your tab instead? Tab? I'm a minor. The state pays for my legal fees. Don't they? Oh no, signal must have cut out. Right, surprised it took them this long. What do you mean? Well, you were tolerated yesterday because leadership was focused on PR. But today, you're the lawyer who put the company's hottest product right in the state's crosshairs. I'll be alright. I'm still an officer of the court. On a strict timeline though, right? I guess they can't stop you from investigating the corporate campus, but they'll gladly lose your guest pass ID at every door along the way. There are still service passageways and stairwells. Guards that can be fooled and peons that can be manipulated. And if I use my other skill set to get around... So take mine. What? Your pass? I'll tell them we got ours mixed up in the bathroom or whatever. I can be pretty convincing klutz when I need to be. I would never have guessed. I rather like Jess. She is adorable. But if David knew I was endangering your career, I can be a pretty convincing crybaby when I'm in trouble too. Besides, the one and only Dr. David Asher wrote me a new glowing letter of recommendation every quarter I worked for him. Since he kept forgetting he already had. And who knows, maybe I should find a new field. this detective work stuff is pretty fun, so maybe, like, I don't know, secretary for a homicide detective or something? Maybe a blonde one who is like a gentleman type thing and has a work partner who's really, really cool, and I kind of think she'd be a great best friend for me. And you did say cops are all lazy. A girl with managerial skills could go far. Honestly, Jess, I doubt they could afford you.